right, everybody. Thank you for coming out. Last day of the show. Really glad to see everybody. I got a couple of cool products. There's been a lot of discussions about single components, all-in-ones, all kinds of different products out there. We're going to go ahead and demo both of them, but just the right way today. So first product I want to talk about is a patch, a moisture-resistant skim coat. Think about when you're doing an all-in-one adhesive where I'm trapping that moisture underneath the substrate. One of the problems is as that moisture is in the slab and you put that all-in-one adhesive on top of there, you're trapping that moisture in between that sandwich. If you have a patch that's not designed to get wet without breaking down, you could have a failure in the system. So your first option is I have to put down my moisture barrier first. Wait, that's the glue. So I'm going to have to go ahead and patch the floor first and then put the all-in-one on top of there. And now that moisture, now that patch that you put on there, in between there, can start to break down when it comes under stress so you want a moisture-resistant type patch. That's what we have. We have MRS here, which stands for moisture-resistant skim coat. Okay, so I'm Italian, so it's hard for me to talk and work with my hands. It's either or. You either get the hands or you get me to talk. But if my hands are actually working, I get kind of quiet for the first time in my life, so forgive me. This feels just like a regular skim coat, but the advantage is it's interior-exterior grade. I'm not telling you I want you to use this outside. I say interior-exterior grade because it can be subject to moisture. In some cases, you don't have to have the air conditioning or the HVAC on. Now, you want to keep it between the parameters of 40 and 90 on the temperature range. But you can go ahead sometimes on a job site, even before the windows or doors are put in the summertime, and go ahead and patch and skim your floors out. That serves a couple of purposes. Purpose number one is you get paid. Probably about a third of all prep work that I've done that was extra or was a change order, I didn't get paid for. They would tell you they were going to pay you, but you fought with the GC to get paid. If you're far in advance on that, on a bigger job, hey, you're going to get paid because you're still on the job. It's not a one-night thing. This right here skims right out, feels just like a normal patching material, except if I'm going to use an all-in-one, if I'm going to use a single component moisture barrier. I put this down first. This helps fill voids. Shortest distance between 2 points. Anybody? Straight line, good answer, Dan. Really good answer. A straight line also includes in a plane. So on your floor, if you've got a whoopty in the floor, you don't have a straight line, you have more distance or more surface area, you're going to eat up more product. I don't know about you, but glues aren't necessarily the cheapest things there are out there. Neither are some moisture control systems. You want to have a flat floor and use the proper size notch trowel. You won't have excessive bleeding. You won't have the issues. How you get there is this. This is one solution. We have two others that are moisture proof. One of them is Extreme 2. It's a self-leveling system. So now I can put a self-leveling system on the floor before I put my moisture resistance system down. And when I trap the moisture, it doesn't attack that. And that gives me a flat floor to work on. There's been a lot of discussion about 100% coverage on the back of a board. I'm going to tell you right now, you want 100% coverage on the back of a board, you have a flat floor. And then you trowel the floor and don't leave any voids. And there's no way but to get 100% coverage on the back of the board. That's the simplest solution. Another one is, we have another product that's Quick Patch, and Quick Patch is for deeper holes. It's also for ramping. So a lot of times when you're doing remodels, or like if a lot of times in South Florida, people close in their back porches, and those back porches were tipped because they were meant to be outside, that initial fill, for that deep fill, you want to use one product, and then you can come over top of it with a self-leveler to flatten that floor out. Because if you're going to close in that room, you might want to put a pool table in there, and you don't want all the pool balls rolling to one side of the table. So this is just a product for that. It's pretty cool. I could stand here and patch all day long, but I'm not going to. I'm going to resist. ½ inch? And after that, you're not skim coating if you're past a ½ inch. You know? At some point you want to go deeper, there's some other products for that, and there's other deep fill materials for that. This is MRS, Moisture Resistant Skim Coat. That's what the MRS stands for. One of the things you'll notice about MAPEI is we've gotten away from calling products by a name, and we've gone to initials because it is really, really hard from patents and other things like that to get a right name for a product that's not already taken. Next product, really like this right here. And I want to thank my guys over at American Sanders because I had a trade show moment and packed everything in my giant Husky bag except the roller frame, which is probably sitting on my dining room table right now with my wife waiting for me to come home so she can tell me about it. This is PMB. This is a polyurethane moisture barrier. No limits. I don't want to see standing water. What I do want to see, though, is absorption. So I want to take a little bit of water and I want to pour it. I want to see that absorb into the concrete. Here's the deal. I get asked all the time, well, can you go over this sealer? Or what if they used an additive? I don't want to hear that. It's really simple. Pour water on it. If water absorbs in it, we're good to go. If water rolls up like it's on a piece of wax paper, we're not good to go. Next step then, you start simple. Let's just run a buffer over it. We're floor guys. What's the solution for everything in our world is? Run the buffer over it. Run the buffer over it and try it again. It just might be topical. You run the buffer over it, you pour water on it, and it doesn't penetrate. Uh-oh. This is something serious. Now you get a grinder. You try it with a grinder. You start easy and you work your way down. At some point, you call a timeout, get the general contractor or get somebody in there and go, I don't know what you guys did here, but you need to open this floor up for me. So it needs to absorb. That's the first thing. That's what I need for this product right here. Single component. I unscrew the cap. I pour it in a paint tray. This is important. 1/4 inch snap roller, not a 3/8, not 5/8. Men, this is for you. More is not better. A single monolithic layer. Roll it on. Just on a side note, you see the way I poured that, right? All right, good. One more thing I'm going to teach you about rolling that a painter taught me. There's a good side and a not good side to a roller. This is called the hard side of a roller. I always want to roll towards that side. So I'm going to roll this way. The reason is this edge feathers out. If I roll that towards the soft side, this edge doesn't feather out and I wind up with W's. And what a W means is I have twice as much product there. How long is it going to take that W to dry if I have twice as much? Any mathematicians in the room? Twice? Twice as much, that's right. And you're wasting material. Stop wasting material. Turn the roller around, and guys, this will help you when you're painting the wall and everything. You can put it on the wall, but then make sure you flip that roller around and roll it back this way so this edge feathers it out. Now I see people that they pour it onto the floor. On a big job, you can have a guy pouring a ribbon and the guy rolling it out, but too much is not a good thing. I need a solid coat on top of there. If you use the 1/4 nap roller, it'll control how much product you put down there. Now, you know, I don't want to hear that you got 7,423 square feet out of that bucket. That's not what I want to hear come out of you guys. I know if you leave it up to installers, we can somehow magically stretch it, but I just want to have a monolithic coating on there. What's happening right now is that polyurethane is penetrating down into the pores because it's porous, right? We checked that when we poured water on the floor. You are correct. Look how sharp this group is over here. This side's not staying up with this side. I'm just telling you right now. When you pour water on the floor, so it's absorbed into those pores. Now those pores are blocked. That's how moisture comes up. It doesn't come through the cement particle, and it doesn't come through the sand particle. It comes through the pores that are in the floor. You need those, and you hate those at the same time. That's where you're going to have a problem, but if you're going to fix the problem, that's where you fix the problem at, in the pores. So now it's blocked on top. An hour to 2 hours to let it dry, I can go on top of it. If you're going to open it up for foot traffic, you want to let it dry a little bit longer. But if you're going to work on it, a couple hours and you're on this thing. And I say that because you're like, dude, that's not very technical, a couple hours. Well, I don't know if you're from Arizona, I don't know if you're from Florida, I don't know where you're from. Like, it'll take longer based on atmospheric conditions because it's a polyurethane that's moisture cured. Great product, comes in a 3.5 gallon unit. It works out about 30 to 40 cents, I think, a square foot. It's a great alternative to what I'm going to show you right now. This is my 995 adhesive. It's one of those things we talked about earlier, where it's all-in, it's 3-in-1. It's sound deadening. It's moisture proofing. It's an adhesive. It's awesome. And it is when done properly. There's the caveat. When done properly. I cannot control if you do it properly unless I put a drone in every bucket, and when you open the lid, it pops up and watches you, and then I'm on a phone going, no, hold the trowel the other way. It's not going to work. You've got to follow the instructions. Men, the instructions are on the bucket in 4 languages, English, Spanish, French, and we put man pictures because you're not going to read the other 3 languages, but you'll look at the pictures. So look at the pictures. At least it's a start. It'll keep you in the parameters. Now, what I'm going to show you is probably the #1 mistake I see all the time with multi-component products. They use the trowel. See, this one comes with trowel clips. It has 2 of them, depending upon how big your board is that you're putting down. The other thing is, believe it or not, both of these trowel clips put down the exact same amount of product. They just do it differently. One has a really big notch, but has a big separation between them. The other one has a much shorter notch, but it's a lot closer. Exact same coverage out of both of these clips. They clip onto your trowel if you want to use this in the single component system. Not going to mess with these. What I am going to do, though, is spread glue and show you how to finish off at the end of the day. Because normally what you do is I will snap a line, let's just say the board's equal 30 inches. I'll snap a 31-inch line, spread my glue in that 31-inch line, and then I will go ahead and set my floor in there. So when I go to start the next row, I have 1 inch of glue already sticking out past, so I don't have to back that trowel up against the tongue of the existing floor and start making a mess. But at the end of the day, I usually hold my glue back 1/4 of an inch, so when I start in the morning, I don't have glue boogered up underneath the darn board. Well, guess what? That's not going to work if this is a moisture barrier. You just expose the floor to moisture by doing that. So I'm going to show you. This is just a little easy way for me to clean my trowels. Now, first rule with any polyurethane or glue, it has jumping ability. So if you're within like a 3-foot area, I'm sure I already have it on me somewhere, it's going to jump on you. It's just the way it is. I usually have a polyurethane pair of pants and a polyurethane shirt that I wear. My wife's always trying to throw it away, and I just keep washing it because I'm not going to ruin all my clothes. This is going to hurt me a lot more than it's going to hurt you. Tony, I'll need you to come and pick me up. No, I'm just kidding. All right, this is not for, I am showing you at the end of the day how we're going to end this thing. You have your notch trowel on there. You run your glue down to the end. Normally, my board would end short so I didn't have any glue boogered up under the end here. That's not what we're gonna do. We're gonna stop it short, and then we're gonna take the flat side of the trowel and we're just gonna pull this thing out a little bit. Now, what I've done is I've created tomorrow's monolithic layer. Now I've created tomorrow's vapor barrier, so when I put my board on here and I start tomorrow, I just come back to here and continue with my glue. I don't have a void underneath there. Almost every failure, job failure I've seen in the 3-in-1, 4-in-1 application has been because guys leave a void there. Installers leave that void. They're only doing what they know to do. They've done it this way for 30 years. This is the way my father taught me. It's the way they taught me in school. But if it's a 3-in-1 product, you can't do that. You have to continue the product across. That's where that layer is what's stopping the vapor from rising up. The notch layer is what's attaching your board to the floor. So A, make sure that floor is flat. You gotta flatten the floor. If you have whoopties in the floor and you're troweling it, your glue will be in the whooptie, but when you put the board across, it'll bridge across and you won't make contact with any of the glue. You can't call me up and go, it's not working. No, it's working. What happened was you didn't patch it. What do you patch it with? You patch it with something that's gonna handle the moisture being trapped underneath there without it failing, is what you patch it with. And I have one last product. Tony, what do we got here?
We have our gymnasium finish.
And?
It's a 1 and a 2-part finish, Gym Pro, MFMA approved. What else would you like to know?
Obviously it goes over paint?
Yes, sir.
That's a big problem with some finishes. You got to be careful, it can go over paint. I'm going to tell you right now, I did this board. That is just run-of-the-mill, oil base paint from Home Depot. I wanted to use the least qualified paint I would use to see if I was going to have a problem. I did not have a problem. Any other questions? Anybody have any questions? Everybody understands these products and what they're for? Everybody understands this concept right here. All right, Dan, that's it. I've totally eliminated the phone calls about our 3-in-1 not working anymore. Because if the floor's flat and you do that, we will not have an issue. If you don't do that, going to have an issue. You just took all that moisture and trapped it in the one spot. I'm gonna send you home with some homework, just to give you an idea about moisture. Water's one of the few products on the planet that come in 3 forms, a liquid, a solid, and a gas. In a liquid, it's water coming out of your shower. In a solid, it's that ice cube in your glass of scotch or ginger ale, whatever. In a gas, it's steam. So go into your bathroom, close the door, turn on the hot water, watch the steam. The steam rises or falls? Rises. It's gas that's coming up through that floor. It's water in the form of a vapor that's rising up through that floor. That's MVR, that's moisture vapor emissions. That's what's coming up through that floor. If it's hydrostatic pressure, it's just water being forced through the pores. But when it's an MVR, it's a gas, it's rising up through there. Let your bathroom start filling up with that steam. As it fills up with the steam, once it gets completely full, it just goes, it can't get out. It's looking for a way out, it can't get out, and then it just settles in. You don't see it moving around, you don't see it doing much of anything. It's full. That's what's going on under the slab. Crack open that door once that happens. All the vapor goes, wait a minute, over here is where we're getting out, and all of it starts rushing out that door. Well, that's what you do on this slab when you leave that void in there. That vapor compiles up underneath there until it goes, all right, we can't get out, we're just gonna hang around. And it just hangs out underneath the system and relaxes until you give it a place to escape. And once you give it a place to escape, it gets excited and goes rushing right through there. That's why every 350 feet, I can see that you stopped here, I can see you stopped here, I can see you stopped here. I can tell where you stopped because you leave these gaps in the floor. So that's the single most important thing. You guys know it, make sure you tell everybody that's in the business that's the way it's got to be done. Deal? Listen, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know how valuable time is, and I hope you learned something here today. Thank you for sharing it with us. If you're not currently using our products, you should give it a try. If you are, thanks for the business. Everybody have a great 2018. Thank you very much.